So I'm a hot mess. I don't have any makeup on, and this is probably going to be very minimally edited. But you'll understand, I'm sure. Hey guys, it's Angel, and welcome to my 38-week bump date. Surprise! Say hi. So I actually didn't make it to 38 weeks like originally planned. We had quite a past couple of weeks. So it's actually been 2 weeks since he was born. And yeah, I just have a lot to tell you guys. I have a lot of videos to make. I definitely plan on posting kind of like a highlights birth vlog type of video. Also, of course, a full birth story and his name reveal. I'm gonna do that very soon as well. We're working on that currently. And yeah, and I still want to make some of those other videos that I had planned on doing and didn't actually have time to make, since we did have to deliver him earlier than expected. So I have some videos about gestational diabetes that I want to make in my hospital bag video. So I guess instead of a what's in my hospital bag video, we'll talk about what I used from my hospital bag. And yeah, I just have some, of course, a postpartum update, a baby update, just so many things that I want to create for you guys in the next few weeks. But for now, before we get into his birth and everything that's happened ever since then, I do still want to do a 38-week update and just talk about the end of my pregnancy, what happened since the last update that I made, where I was just about 35 weeks up until the actual story of his birth, just to kind of get you guys up to speed. Hi, baby. All right, so the last update, I was just about 35 weeks when I filmed that, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think I talked about the appointment that I had that week. I think it was the next day after I filmed that. That appointment went well. My blood pressure was actually kind of decent that week, so we were cautiously optimistic. And then at 36 weeks, I had a growth scan ultrasound. And at that ultrasound, oh, good bird. Yeah. At that ultrasound, he measured pretty big. So remember, for the previous growth scans, he was around the 60th, 70th percentile or thereabouts. In this one, he was 89th percentile. So she said that he was 7 pounds and 5 ounces. Now, she did mention that she purposefully measured him a little bit more on the larger side just to be on the safe side, because she figured it's better to expect them to be a little bit bigger and be surprised than the other way around. He probably wasn't quite that big, but still, he was on 89th percentile, which is pretty big, guys, because they consider babies between 10th and 90th percentile to be normal. And so 90th or bigger, they consider large for gestational age and kind of worry about things like shoulder dystocia and whatnot. And then, of course, smaller than 10%, then they worry about intrauterine growth restriction. And so he was like right there on that cusp. But looking at growth charts still put him where he would be just about the same size as my first 2 babies if he were to go to full term like they did. But then knowing that he was going to really be born about the 38th week, then I knew that he was probably going to be smaller than Kerrigan and Kaladin were. And so I was expecting him to be about 8 pounds, maybe 8.5 when he was born. Hey, baby. So a couple updates. So this was on Thursday, I think, on a Thursday. The following Monday, I had my next prenatal appointment. And again, I saw Dr. Baghdadi himself at this appointment. And this time he had a student OB with him. He most often would have some kind of student with him. This time it was a man named Yuri. So he asked how the ultrasound went, and I said, great, he's still measuring well. And she said the scar still looks wonderful. And so he's like, great, so we are on for that induction on March 12th. How's that sound? And I was like, good. So he's like, okay, let me go and schedule that right now. So he left the room to call Tacoma General Hospital to schedule that. So I was really excited because, you know, a couple weeks prior in my last update, I talked about how he had all these stipulations about what needed to happen for him to be comfortable with inducing me. And so, you know, he wanted the scar to look good on the ultrasound, but he also wanted to check my cervix, you know, the day before. My cervix had to be favorable. I was really happy that it didn't seem like there were any stipulations anymore. He didn't seem like he was hesitant to do it anymore. He seemed like he was like fully on board with that being the plan regardless. So while he was out of the room doing that, Yori was checking my blood pressure and he did it 3 times. And again, I was like, uh-oh, this is probably not good, because whenever they do it more than once, it's because it's high and then they're worried and they want to make sure it's right. And so yes, he did it 3 times, and then I asked him what it was, and he said it was 166/110, which is so high. That is really dangerously high. Like, that's an emergency high. I've never had it that high ever. And mind you, I was on medication, like, and the medication helped with my pregnancy with Carrie, and it was not doing such a great job this time around. And so I was just completely blindsided. I did not expect it to be that bad. So he came back in, and when Yuri told him how high it was, he was like, yeah, you need to go to Tacoma General, like, right now. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I started freaking out because I was so not prepared. I hadn't finished packing my hospital bags, and the night before, Justin was on duty. I was trying to film videos and I was trying to get things prepared for the baby. And I remember feeling very strongly that I needed to finish the hospital bag, that I needed to film the video and finish packing it, because I just had a feeling that I was going to be sent to labor and delivery. Maybe not necessarily to deliver, but that I would probably have to go the next day. By the time I got the kids in bed and everything else that needed to be done, I was so tired and I just wanted to go to bed instead of stay up to film and do that. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can do it in the morning in between when I take Cal to school and before I go to my appointment. But I got totally sidetracked, and before I knew it, I had to leave for my appointment, so I didn't have time to do it. So I should have listened to my instincts. This happened to me with Caledon as well. It was packed, I just didn't have it in the car. And so once again, I didn't listen to myself and I was kicking myself. But still, even if I had the hospital bag ready and in the car, like, I still needed to go home because I was like, my son is at school, I need to pick him up, my husband's at work with no car, I don't even know where I'm gonna send my kids yet. I have to like make arrangements because Justin's grandma was flying up here to watch the kids for us for what we were planning on the induction to be, which was the following week. So she wasn't gonna get there till that Sunday. And because our plan was that she was coming, then I didn't have anything packed for the kids at all because I thought they were gonna be at home and not need to be packed. So I needed to pack for them, I needed to figure out where to send them, and I needed to install the car seat. I hadn't done that yet. It was a little bit chaotic. I was trying not to totally panic, and it took us a few hours to get everything situated and be ready to go. And I ended up deciding to take the kids to my friend Lisa's house. She lives in Tacoma, pretty close to the hospital. I just thought it would be better to have the kids close by instead of out here because we live about 45 minutes from where the hospital is. So it took us a few hours to get everything situated, and we were literally on the road. It was close to 9 o'clock or so, and my doctor called me and he said that they were concerned about me because I hadn't come to the hospital yet. They wanted to make sure I was still okay, like how I was doing. And I was like, I'm okay. Sorry, it just took me a while to get everything situated because, you know, I thought I had another week, so I had a lot to do. And he's like, no, I understand, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure you were okay and that you were still coming. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, they know you're coming, they're waiting for you. I can't remember the exact way he worded it, but he made it clear that we were inducing, that was happening. Because when I was packing and preparing everything, I wasn't sure if I was going to actually be induced yet, or if I was just gonna have to go for at least a few hours and be monitored, or if I was gonna have to be admitted for a while and wait to induce, or what exactly the plan was gonna be. And I packed assuming that I would be there at least a few days, whether that was to be admitted or to be induced. So I'm glad that I did that, because that is what ended up happening. Driving on the way there, then I realized that this is happening. We're going to have a baby. We're not waiting till next week. We got some food for the kids, because in all that chaos, we didn't even take time to eat dinner yet. And I dropped them off at my friend's house, and then Justin and I stopped to grab something to eat as well. And then we got to the hospital about 10 p.m. and they didn't even take me into triage. They took me straight into the delivery room. So I went into the bathroom and took one final bump picture, which was a couple hours before being officially 37 weeks. So I knew that would be the last one, not only for this pregnancy, but ever, since he's our last baby. It was very eye-opening that this was really happening, and we were about to meet our baby sooner rather than later. Then after a while, the nurse came in and got me all situated with the hospital gown, got me hooked up to all the monitors, and the hep lock was placed, and they drew some blood and had me pee in a cup so that they could run some labs so they can determine if it was still just hypertension or if it was preeclampsia or HELLP syndrome, so that they could decide on what to do for my treatment. So this pregnancy ended much sooner than my first two did. So he was early term instead of full term. I gained a total of 14 pounds. And yeah, I felt like my bump looked bigger than it did at the same point with my first two. It was kind of hard to be sure. But I don't know if you can tell me looking at him, but he is smaller than we expected him to be. So more on that later when you see more of the birth related videos. So that is where the story of my pregnancy ends and the story of his birth begins. I'm so sorry guys, I know it's already been 2 weeks and I still have yet to get those videos out, but I will try to do them as quickly as I can. It might be kind of difficult because Justin is about to leave for a while, and so I will be solo parenting. That might make it difficult, you know, aside from the usual difficulties of having a newborn and not getting much sleep. But I am really excited to make those videos. I love those videos. I love watching them. I love making them. And I just want them to be special. So I want to take my time and do them right the first time instead of just rushing to get them up. I haven't decided yet on the order that those will be posted. I will probably do his name reveal first. Look for those to be the next few videos. I do also want to do a what's in my kids Easter basket video. I always do those every year. And I really enjoy those, and I know Easter is coming up pretty soon, so I might have to stick that in there somewhere. But yes, very, very soon I will have those videos. I know that you guys are really anticipating those. I've had one of you ask me when we're going to reveal his name on Instagram, but it's just been a very huge whirlwind of 2 weeks. My birth photographer's pictures have basically gone viral, and there have been multiple mainstream media people that have written articles about his birth, and it was on people.com and BuzzFeed and today.com, Motherly, Babbel.com, Love What Matters, a couple of Australian ones, and then someone from Brazil interviewed me today. It's just blowing up, and it has been completely surreal. The photos are striking, they're beautiful, they are amazing. I'm in love with them, and so it's so nice to see other people appreciate her work as well, because she totally nailed it. She's very talented. It was a very long labor, and so people are just really fascinated by that. But it's still so beyond anything I ever could have imagined, and it just keeps growing. And these media publications that I enjoy reading and that usually cover things like about famous people, and they want to talk to me about my story, that is just unreal. Yes, so it has been very overwhelming past 2 weeks since he was born. So I am so looking forward to sharing all of this and more with you. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on those videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.